everyone, welcome to Pace Coaching Center YouTube channel. So in our previous video, we have started with fundamental rights in polity. We discussed some basic points in fundamental rights and also learnt a trick to remember fundamental rights easily. So in today's video, we'll discuss about Article 12 in fundamental rights. To follow the whole series of videos, please do install our app Pace Competitive Academy from your Google Play Store and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel Pace Coaching Center. So let's get started with today's class. So before going into Article 12, let's see a small important point. In India, the Supreme Court is called as the guardian or protector of the fundamental rights. Guardian of fundamental rights. So, the Supreme Court is called guardian or protector of the fundamental rights. Why? Because if anyone violates the fundamental rights, then we can directly go to the Supreme Court and complain against it. The Supreme Court will take the required action. So that's why it is called as the guardian. Now let's go into Article 12. So the Article 12 does not provide us with any fundamental right. The Article 12 simply defines the term state, which includes all those agencies whose actions can be challenged in the Supreme Court if they violate the fundamental rights. That means all the agencies which are defined under Article 12 can be challenged in the Supreme Court if they violate the fundamental rights. So all those agencies which are not mentioned in Article 12 cannot be challenged in the Supreme Court even if they violate the fundamental rights. So let's see what all agencies are placed under Article 12. The first one is legislature and executive of the union government. So what is the legislature at the union level or at the central level? The legislature at the union level is the Parliament of India. The Parliament consists of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The executive at the union level is nothing but the government which is ruling, that is the ruling government. So the executive now is the Modi government. So these two have very important functions. The legislature makes law, the legislature makes laws, and the executive implements those laws. So the major function of the legislature is to make laws and the major function of the executive is to implement those laws. So these two are the law making bodies. So these are placed under Article 12. That means if they make any law which violate the fundamental rights, then we can go against them by challenging them in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court will take the necessary action against them. So they cannot make any law which will violate the fundamental rights. So that's why these are placed under Article 12, so that they don't make any law that violate the fundamental rights, because all these laws which are made by them have a direct impact on the citizens of India. So if these laws are violative of the fundamental right, they will have a direct impact on the citizens. The next one is the legislative and the executive organs of the state government. So we have three lists, that is union list, state list, and the concurrent list. So each list consists of different subjects. So the state have control over the subjects in the state list. That means the state can make laws on the subjects present in the state list. So The legislature at the state level is nothing but the state legislature which is present in every state. The executive at the state level is again the ruling government in that state. So these both at the state level also have law making power. They can make laws on the subjects in the state list. So these are also placed under Article 12 so that they don't make any laws which violate the fundamental right. And even though if they make laws which violate the fundamental right, then these laws can be challenged in the Supreme Court. The third category is all local authorities. So municipalities, panchayats and district boards come under the local authorities. These local authorities should also not violate the fundamental rights. Next, other agencies. In other agencies, they did not explicitly mention which all will come under other agencies. So they simply mentioned the term other agencies. So let us see what all will come under this. First, statutory and non-statutory bodies. So what do you mean by a statutory body? Let's see. So all the bodies which are formed through parliamentary law or which derive their power from the parliamentary law are called as the statutory bodies. Now what is this parliamentary law? Consider a bill. This bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. For example, let's consider that this bill is introduced in the Lok Sabha. So the parliament consists of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. We saw in the before slide. So the members of the Lok Sabha have approved this bill. Now this bill is passed to Rajya Sabha. All the members of the Rajya Sabha also approved to this bill. Now this bill is sent to the President of India. Now the President will have two choices. Either he can sign on this bill or he can reject this bill and send back this bill. So in our example, let us consider that the President has signed on this bill, has approved this bill. Now this bill will become an act or a law. So all those bodies which are formed through this procedure are called as the statutory bodies. The bodies which are formed through parliamentary law are called as the statutory bodies. These bodies are not mentioned in the Constitution. These bodies are not mentioned in the Constitution. They are simply formed through a parliamentary act. The best example is NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. This is the best example for a statutory body. Now let us see what is a non-statutory body. The bodies which are formed through executive resolution are called as the non-statutory bodies. Now let us see what is this executive resolution. So in our before slide we saw the executive is nothing but the ruling government. So whenever the ruling government want to form a particular body, it will pass a executive resolution and forms that body. So all those bodies which are formed under the executive resolution are called as the non-statutory bodies. The best example for this, Niti Aayog. The Niti Aayog is formed by the Modi government by passing an executive resolution. So all these statutory and non-statutory bodies must not violate the fundamental rights, and if they violate the fundamental rights, we can challenge them in the Supreme Court and they are answerable to the Supreme Court. Now there are many other agencies too which are placed under Article 12. but these agencies are not explicitly mentioned. So, through different cases, the Supreme Court gave judgments regarding what all agencies come under Article 12. So, we need to see what all agencies come under Article 12, because only those agencies which come under Article 12 can be challenged in the Supreme Court. All those agencies which does not come under Article 12 cannot be challenged in the Supreme Court even if they violate fundamental rights. So it is important to come to the conclusion that what all agencies are mentioned in Article 12. So a very important case law through which Supreme Court mentioned what all agencies come under Article 12. So let's see the case. R.D. Shetty versus International Airport Authority. So this case is about the International Airport Authority. The International Airport Authority has invited tenders, and of the tender applicant was R.D. Shetty. Due to some discriminatory reasons, his application was rejected. His tender application was rejected due to some discriminatory reasons. So what R.D. Shetty did was, he went to the court and he complained in the court that his fundamental rights are violated. So now the big question before the court is that whether International Airport Authority comes under Article 12 or not. So let us see how this International Airport Authority is formed. This International Airport Authority is formed under Airport Authority Act of India. So this International Airport Authority is formed through a parliamentary law or a parliamentary act. So we saw what is a parliamentary act in the previous slide. So this Airport Authority of India is a parliamentary act, and under this parliamentary act, International Airport Authority is formed. Next, the next important point is the entire capital or money required to form this International Airport Authority was invested by the central government. So all the money which was required to form this IAA was spent by the central government. Next important point is the chairman and some other members of this IAA are appointed by the central government. So the topmost position, that is the position of a chairman, was appointed by the central government. So through this we can conclude that the central government had complete control over this International Airport Authority, since the topmost position, that is the chairman position, the appointment of that position was under the control of central government. So the central government exercised control over this International Airport Authority. Next, the entire capital was spent by the central government for establishing this authority. Next, it was formed under a parliamentary act. So now, based on these conclusions, the Supreme Court gave judgment in this case. The Supreme Court gave 5 points and said that if any agency comes under these 5 categories, it can be considered under Article 12. So let's see what are those 5 points. The first point, entire share capital of the company is held by the government. So here we saw that the entire capital required to form this agency was spent by the central government. So for the establishment of that agency, the central government spent the entire capital. Then those agencies will come under Article 12. Next, second point, financial assistance is given by the government to meet the expenditure of that company. That means the government gives funds to that agencies. So all those agencies who receive fund from the central government comes under Article 12. Next, if the corporation enjoys monopoly status, that means it is a sole seller in the market. It is a sole seller in the market and there is no competition. Then all those agencies will come under Article 12. Next point, absolute control of the government on the corporation. So here we saw that the chairman of IAA was appointed by the central government. So when the appointment of the topmost position is under the control of the central government, then we can conclude that the central government has absolute control over that organization. So that agency will also come under Article 12. Next, fifth point, if it performs functions of public importance, for example, the services provided by that agency is of public importance, like provision of electricity or water, all these are an important services to the public. So all those agencies which perform the functions of public importance will also come under Article 12. So if an agency come under this 5 categories, then that agency can be placed under Article 12, and if that agency is placed under Article 12, then it can be challenged in the Supreme Court if it violates the fundamental right. So by this we can conclude that the International Airport Authority comes under Article 12 and R.D. Shetty will have the power to challenge it in the Supreme Court. So the last point. So does judiciary come under Article 12? This was a question raised. So what does the judiciary contain? Supreme Court, High Courts, District Courts. So all these come under the judiciary. So in case if the Supreme Court or the High Court or the District Court violate the fundamental rights, can they be challenged? Can the judiciary itself be challenged? So let's understand. Only the administrative functions of judiciary, only the administrative functions of judiciary can be challenged. Can be challenged if they violate the fundamental rights. So the administrative functions involve appointment of staff in the courts, appointment of staff and different positions in the courts. So while appointing the staff or members in the court cannot show any discrimination. The discrimination might be based on gender or it might be based on caste. So these discriminations should not be shown by the judiciary while appointing the staff in the courts. So in case of administrative functions, they can be challenged if they violate the fundamental rights, but it cannot be challenged in its judicial functions. So the Supreme Court cannot be challenged in its judicial functions. That means judicial functions involve when it gives judgment in cases. Those judgments cannot be challenged. Or if the judiciary, in order to find out the truth, if it asks any questions to any person to get the truth out, then also it cannot be challenged. Only the administrative functions can be challenged and not the judicial functions. So this is all about Article 12. So Article 12 is all about all those agencies which come under Article 12 can be challenged in the Supreme Court, and all those agencies which does not come under Article 12 cannot be challenged under the Supreme Court. So let's summarize a bit. So the law making bodies From point 1, point 2, point 3 we understood, and even from this statutory and non-statutory bodies we understood that all the law making bodies will come under Article 12, and the laws made by them should not violate the fundamental rights, or else they will be challenged in the Supreme Court. Next, from this case law we saw 5 points, and under this 5 points, if any agency falls, then it will come under Article 12. And lastly, the judiciary. Only the administrative functions can be challenged and not the judicial functions. So, thank you. In our next video, we'll discuss about Article 13.